If you're thinking about going on a cruise out of Australia, this is the right video for you. There's a lot of things you need to know, a lot of things that I wish I had known before we went on our cruise in Australia. Hi, this is Crystal with GoGo Gaddis Travel. The first thing that you need to know is that it is really far. Our flight from Dallas, Texas was about 16 hours, plus time on the tarmac. So you were in that plane for 17 to 18 hours. It was a long flight, but you watch the videos and it's not too bad. The next thing you need to know is that if you are going to Australia and, like us, New Zealand, you have to have a visa for each of these locations. These are something you apply for ahead of time. You can download this app, and it costs about $30 for the Australian visa and about $65, maybe $70 for the New Zealand visa. If you are looking it up and Googling it and they're adding an extra fee for processing, that's basically a scam. They'll get you the visa, but they're going to charge you an extra $100 or something, and you don't have to pay that. You just go directly to the country of New Zealand or the country of Australia. Also, every time you go into a country, they're going to ask you to fill out a customs declaration. Typically, when we go to a country to get money for that country, what we do is at the airport, we stop at an ATM, we use our debit card and withdraw money in the currency of the country that we're in. And that's what we did on this trip. When you make that selection, just be sure and tell them that you want it in the currency of the country. So we wanted Australian dollars. If you tell it that you want it charged as US dollars, that means they are choosing the currency conversion, and you don't want that. You want your bank to make the currency conversion. You'll get a better rate. And of course, the next step is getting to your hotel, and yay, Uber works in Sydney, Australia. Next, I'm going to talk about a lot of the differences between Australia and the United States. Some of these are specific to the Carnival Splendor, which is the ship that we sailed on. So let's start with tipping. There are no automatic gratuities on Australian cruises. So I'm not sure if the price is a little higher and then you're still not expected to tip, or if you should tip. I sort of did my normal tipping that I would do whether the gratuities were automatic or not, but I didn't go above and beyond that. I think maybe some people did, I'm not really sure, but tipping is less common in Australia. Generally they pay better wages, but tipping's always appreciated. There were several things that I call Australianisms that we learned. The first Australianism that we learned in Sydney is that the downtown area of Sydney is called the CBD, which, coming from America, CBD means something entirely different. So the CBD is the Central Business District. On the ship, if you ask for a lemonade, they will bring you a Sprite. We were not expecting that. But eventually we learned to ask for an American lemonade or a lemon squash or lemon cordial if you wanted just the free lemonade that's provided on the ship. The next thing is that shrimp are prawns. What we would call the appetizer is called the entree, and the entree is called the main. Keep in mind that everything on the cruise is in Australian dollars. Also, Australians love to eat chicken schnitzel and barramundi. They were on the menu every night. For breakfast, the cereals were very different than we're used to in America. No Fruit Loops here. They also had the Aussie brekkie, which I highly suggest you try. But be aware that the bacon is not like American bacon. Also, several times on the menu I saw something called capsicum, and I believe that's peppers. Another Aussie favorite for children for breakfast is fairy bread, which is basically bread with butter and some little candy sprinkles on top. And of course, you have to try Vegemite. You are not going to like it, but you got to try it. When you're off the ship, you might want to try a beef pie, red frogs, and absolutely try Tim Tams. Another difference is in the deli. These are the items on the deli menu, and you will notice that there is no Reuben. And one last thing to mention about food, at Swirls, there is still all the ice cream you want, but it's only vanilla. But they do have chocolate and strawberry sauce available. Some other things that we noticed that are different is that all of the events start on time, possibly a little early. Be sure and be there 15 minutes early. We almost missed a shore excursion because we came at what we thought was on time, like the on-time meeting time, but they actually had already started leaving, so be sure and be early for things. Also, bingo was a little different. I think this is more the British version of bingo. Be aware that all of the trivia is not necessarily American trivia. A few things were the same, but there was also quite a bit of Australian trivia about Australian television shows, things like that. On our New Zealand cruise, be aware that the seas are rougher than they are in the Caribbean. When you're going across the Tasman Sea, it's just a rougher sea. We had 5 rough sea days all in a row. I took motion sickness medicine almost every day on that cruise. The passenger mix was not what we expected. I expected a lot more Americans. It was about 90% Australian people. Lots of them were fluffy, like me, and most of them were white. There were very few Black or Hispanic people. There were some people of Asian descent, maybe 15%. Now, the crew nationalities are typical of Carnival Cruise Lines. Another thing that cost extra was the afternoon tea. It was $39 for the afternoon tea, and I wasn't used to that. They really didn't have much to speak of for destination t-shirts. We love to buy those 2 for $30 t-shirts, and they had a few, but it might have been because it was kind of the end of the season, but we ended up buying our shirts in the port and at the airport. Now on the Splendor specifically, there are no digital photos. It's the old school printed photos. One difference on this particular ship is that the casino was non-smoking, which was a very big surprise. One of our cruises, the one to New Zealand, was a Journeys cruise. And the Journeys cruise typically have lecturers, which we love. This cruise had a naturalist, and it also had a cartoonist who gave drawing instructions. The port days on our Great Barrier Reef cruise included Arley Beach, Cairns, Morton Island, and there was a sail-by of Willis Island. On the trip to New Zealand, our ports of call were Tauranga, Auckland, and Bay of Islands. We were supposed to go to Napier, but we missed this due to the rough weather. I'm going to create a separate video for each of these ports, including Sydney. Keep an eye out for those. I hope this video helps to prepare you for your cruise in Australia. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe and comment. Thank you. Have a great day.